Now it's time for your 420 Radio News for Friday, August 30th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Department of Justice's blessing of states' pot laws, the beginning of the end of prohibition, from NBCnews.com. The Department of Justice's decision on Thursday not to sue Washington and Colorado for permitting recreational marijuana use is being celebrated by advocates as such a huge national step for pot legalization. It's comparable to the end of prohibition. Quote, "In my lifetime, it was by far the most important change in marijuana federal policy on the federal level," said Keith Stropp, the founder and legal counsel at the nonprofit National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, or NORML. He continued, quote, "All of a sudden they have decided to let the states experiment with different levels of legalization. That's precisely what happened at the end of alcohol prohibition," end quote. Dan Riffle, director of federal policies at the Marijuana Policy Project, called the DOJ's move, which also gives immunity to 18 states in the District of Columbia where medical marijuana is permitted, unprecedented. Quote, "The biggest issue facing Colorado and Washington for the last 9 months has been what the federal government will do about the initiatives that were passed out there. And the answer that we got yesterday is nothing," end quote, he said. Next year, Oregon and Alaska are likely to see ballot-initiated marijuana votes. And in 2016, the Marijuana Policy Project is aiming to get similar measures on the ballot in 5 more states: California, Oregon, Arizona, Nevada, and Maine. Massachusetts may also see a marijuana measure in 2016, according to NORML's Stropp. U.S. Attorney, business as usual on pot in Oregon, from K2.com. The top federal prosecutor in Oregon said Thursday that new U.S. Justice Department guidance on marijuana won't require any changes in the state. U.S. Attorney Amanda Marshall said her staff reviewed marijuana prosecutions over the past 2 years and said all of the cases would have gone forward under the new federal rules. Marshall said federal prosecutors won't interfere with marijuana programs authorized by the state as long as the regulations conform to the federal priorities and the state provides staff and money to enforce the laws. State Senator Floyd Prozanski, a Eugene Democrat who chairs the Judiciary Committee, said legislative leaders were already in the process of forming a work group to study marijuana legalization even before the Justice Department announced its decision. The work group aims to craft a plan to legalize and regulate marijuana sales to adults, which lawmakers would consider referring to the 2014 ballot when they meet in February. Canadian police chiefs propose ticket system for pot. This from CBC. Canada's police chiefs have voted overwhelmingly in favor of reforming drug laws in the country. The Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, meeting in Winnipeg this week, wants officers to have the ability to ticket people found with 30 grams of marijuana or less. However, Federal Justice Minister Peter MacKay said there are no plans in the works to legalize or decriminalize marijuana. Though MacKay had no follow-up on the chief's recommendation, he said he appreciates their input. Records show vet denied right to buy gun over 1971 pot charge, from the Houston Chronicle. Ron Kelly didn't do it, even if he thought he did. Kelly, who lives in Tomball, was outraged a few months ago when he failed a computerized background check required to buy a gun over a minor pot charge from 1971. At the time of the rejection, he insisted he'd been convicted of a misdemeanor, not a felony, and there was no justification for denying a right that he defended with a 20-year career in the Army. Matters took an unprecedented twist recently when, at the request of a Washington, D.C. lawyer who volunteered to help Kelly, records were found at the North Carolina courthouse where Kelly had been brought before a judge so long ago. They showed that his charge of possessing a gram or more of marijuana had been dismissed. He noted the irony of the federal government finding him fit enough to fire tanks and machine guns during his 20-year career as a soldier, but determining that as a civilian he wasn't able to buy a .22 caliber rifle at the local Walmart. He said he was humiliated and angry as he was turned away from the sales counter, but most of all, he was confused. Police. Child dies in car while father smoked pot outside, from USA Today. The father of a 3-month-old boy who died after being left in a car was believed to be smoking marijuana in front of the car while his infant son was still inside, according to court documents released Friday. Daniel Gray's son, Jameson, died Wednesday after being left in the vehicle parked at his workplace for more than an hour. Gray, age 31, was charged with manslaughter and child abuse in connection with the death, according to Phoenix police. A witness observed Gray and an employee standing outside in front of the parked car outside BT Sports Pub and assumed they were smoking marijuana, according to court documents. When investigators questioned the employee seen with Gray, the employee admitted that Gray asked him for marijuana and that both went to stand in front of the vehicle. Gray, a kitchen manager at the pub, told police he had lost track of time while checking on business there. This has been your 420 Radio News for Friday, August 30th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and take a further look at the Department of Justice memo on marijuana legalization and how that still leaves the dispensaries in Washington state firmly in the crosshairs of Washington prosecutors. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.